You know how it is. You make a resolution, then a few weeks, days later, you give up. But there are ways to keep going and turn that resolution into a habit that will give you results all year. I've had a lot of resolutions over the years, and I've learned so many things along the way. Things that worked and others that didn't. I only made it 3 hours? But it always feels good to get a fresh start. So I'm going to share these lessons with you, and hopefully your resolutions will last longer than mine did a few times. Here are 7 of them, with an emphasis on music producers, because if you're watching this, chances are you make music. Number 1 is make your resolutions reachable and realistic. If your resolution is to release a song every day, unless you have the time and you can fit it in, it might not last. But if that's what you choose and you can do it, let me know. I'd love to hear your stuff. If your resolution is to go from 300 followers to 1 million in a month on your social media account, that's probably not going to happen. But again, I'm not a dream crusher, and if you can get it done, go for it. Just be realistic when you're choosing something, because if you fail, you might lose motivation, but something that's achievable will give you that motivation to keep going for the whole year instead of quitting after a few weeks. You know who you are. Okay, number 2, especially if you chose something where you stop doing something for the year or that requires a daily effort, make a chart where you have 365 days or boxes on it so you can check as you go. It makes it really visual, where you can see your results at the end of each week or each month, where you know that you had some kind of success every single day. You can make a spreadsheet with dates and tick boxes, or use Word or Google Docs. Or a good way is to look for an annual calendar where you have the whole year on one page, and then you can just mark out each day where you had positive results. Number 3 is to use apps and reminders to help you along the way. One example is if you're using Todoist, at the end of a task, you can just add every day and it'll create a recurring reminder and it'll just pop back into your to-do list every day. The main reason for doing this is it actually feels really good to click done. And if you didn't complete it that day, you can just move it to the next day and keep going from there. If you want to get all fancy with it, you can connect it to if this then that, IFTTT, to add the days where you completed it into a spreadsheet, and then you can go in there and work with it and make it visual, whatever you need to do. Now, number 4 is don't be too hard on yourself if you skip a day. It happens, you can get a bit of rest and then keep going the next day. But make extra effort if you find that you're skipping more than occasionally. You're trying to make changes, but if you can find that balance between getting stuff done and taking good care of yourself, you're more likely to keep your resolutions in the long term. Number 5 is be patient. It can often take about 2 months of doing something regularly before it becomes a habit. I found it to be a little bit longer than that, about 3 months. No matter how long it takes, it does get easier over time, but it takes a while to build that habit. And if you're starting on January 1st, it means it may not become a habit until March. All right, number 6 is fit it into your lifestyle. That's the way it'll work. If you chose to do something once a week, instead of trying to find that time and fit it somewhere, you might choose a show that you watch every week that you don't really care that much about anymore, and you just watch it now because you're bored. Drop the show and make that your time to work on whatever it is that you chose. If your goal for the year is to practice the piano a lot more, move it to a spot where you walk by many times a day, and then you can just turn it on, play a little bit, turn it off, and keep going with whatever you were doing. If you make it easy to do, you'll have better chances of keeping your resolutions. As music producers, we often have weird schedules, so saying you'll practice from 7 till 8 each night might not be possible. So it'll take some effort to find ways to fit it seamlessly in our lives, but once you figure out how, it makes it all worth it. And number 7 is remember why you're doing it. How are you going to feel when you've achieved your goal? Find some ways to remember. Photoshop yourself in a boat or in a nice car that you'd like to own one day, or on stage with 20,000 people in front of you. Whatever your dream or goal is, just remember what's at that finish line so it keeps you motivated to keep going every day. All right, hopefully these things can keep you motivated all year. It'll help you make some better music, and this can be your best year ever. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.